there. Do your parents belittle you when trying to make decisions with your own kids, or decisions that affect only you and yourself? Do you get severe anxiety when trying to bring up something to your parents, mainly something that hurts you? Are you a new parent and trying to practice healthier habits with your kids and receiving flack or bull from your parents about, oh, this is the right way, whatever it is? Are you a crab in a bucket? A lot of times when it's time for us, when we start our healing journey and it's time for us to kind of separate from the toxic people, because you can't break generational curses if you're seeking approval from the cursed generation, you know? If there are toxic traits, and not saying everybody is terrible for having toxic traits, we all have toxic traits to some extent. Some of us are willing to look at them, and some of us are not, and that's the difference. But if you are trying to change the way that you do things, and you are noticing not so healthy habits that you want to turn into healthier habits and want to be healthier within your own life, I'm gonna turn this on. That's better. If you're dealing with those things, trying your hardest, and you're receiving backlash or whatever kind of abuse it might be from your parents or the people that are around you, then you are fully within your right to separate yourself from those people. Blood is not thicker than water. You don't have any choice in the family that you pick when you come here, you're born into. You don't have any choice over that. None. And some of us are born into ones that aren't very allowing of us being who we are. But if you feel like the best thing to do is to leave the family members or create space, safe space, whether it's completely going no contact or extremely limiting contact, or just limiting contact a little bit. First thing to do is to set boundaries. But if you are receiving backlash and you're thinking that it's time for you to leave your family and you're receiving guilt from it and feeling guilty from it, don't feel guilty at all. And here's why. Because, like I said, we don't get to pick the family that we're born into, and they have known you up until this point. If they've been around you and been raised with you and have raised you, they've known you up until this point. They saw the toxic stuff. They saw the not so good traits. They saw, and they might not have had the resources or the idea or the inspiration or anything in order to change. But now as an adult, if you are presenting them with that criteria, presenting them with that option, and they are refusing, then that is no longer your raft to save. If you are floating in the middle of an ocean and you're trying to save someone that's drowning, when you go up to that person, you're trained to go up to that person and tell them, I'm here to help you. Communicate with them. Give them some reassurance, let them know. But if they won't fucking listen and they continue to grab at you and punch and kick and scream and holler, and they start to drag you down, you can knock that person out and help them, or you can push them away. Push them away, because if you knock them out, you're causing damage and stuff. I don't think that's trained anymore. We don't do that anymore. But if you are trying to save somebody and they're not allowing you to save them, then you immediately stop. Not because, it sucks, they might drown, but you won't be drowning with them, right? Yeah, it's great, it's terrible, what if they drown? But what if you both drown? Then the people that you are responsible for caring for and looking after and raising are not gonna have their safe person. I don't care. You're not as important as me. They had all of that time up until now. They had all that time, no matter how old you are, 50, 20, 30, anywhere in between, it doesn't matter. They had all of that time to change and shape shift and morph into, not change themselves, but to work in a way with you that made you feel complete and made them feel complete. They had all of that time to learn about you, the things that hurt you, to grow to care about you. And if they didn't, then they're not gonna, just because you're telling them to now. So, or they might. If they do, great, and you're one of the very special ones, very, very few and far between. But for most of us, when we start bringing up things that hurt us, then it can cause rifts between people. You don't have to feel guilty about the way you brought it up. Oh, it's not about what you said, it's about the way you said it. No. If I have to tiptoe and dance and orchestrate an entire play in order to have a conversation with you, I'm not going to have a conversation with you. No. You don't have to feel guilty about creating space, because again, if they are trying to force you to do what they did, that's not, no. Shut it down, throw it away. Literally throw it away. If they are refusing to, or if they are refusing to grow in the ways, like say somebody mocks you and says hurtful comments to you and then laughs about it, they think that that's a normal thing to happen in their family, and they don't realize that that's not freaking normal, that is actually really hurtful, and it only causes harm. It does not make you stronger as an adult. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You don't get to do that to people. And it's not necessary to live in a house like that. So if you as an adult have decided that that's not what you want for you and your child, you are fully within your rights to back away or create space. And even if it comes down to saying, no, you cannot babysit my child, they'll be, why? You will politely explain why. You will explain, this is not safe, this is toxic, this hurt me when I was a kid, I will not allow that to happen to my son. You won't do that to my daughter. You can't do that to my niece, whatever it is. And they, give you backlash for it. That's it. That is as far as you are required to go. Like I said, they've known you up until this point, no matter what age you are. They had all of that time to build a relationship with their children. You. And if they didn't, that's on them. That is on them. You cannot force them to be a different way. You can't control their emotions. You can't control their reactions. You can't control what they do. But you can control you. So what you do is say, now, I am not comfortable with this. Not only am I not comfortable with it, but I see the toxicity in it. I will explain it to you one time. This is toxic. I will not argue with you about it, and I will not have you push those on my child. This is now my turn to build a relationship with my child. As you had an opportunity to build a relationship with your child, me, I now have a responsibility and an opportunity to build a relationship with my child. I want to do better, as you should. Nobody is supposed to be doing the same thing that their parents have done for generations and generations and generations. Just because your granddad's shit in an outbox don't mean you have to. We have plumbing now. Sometimes, some of us, no judgment. Y'all are doing great, as if you don't. If you don't have plumbing and you have a phone or a computer, wow, okay. Anyways, you're not required to drown with anybody. You're not required to, because a lot of times what they're gonna want to do when you are becoming the adult child and no longer the child, you'll start to change and program your own self and become more different from them. And that's usually what they were trying to stop you from doing your entire childhood. So like with the criticisms, with the, oh, your body is this, oh, your mind is this, oh, you say so much, you're so da-da-da-da-da. And they're usually wrong. They're usually projecting. And then you, as a child, the more that happens to you, you start to forget even who you really are, your own voice. You start to not even recognize your own needs as needs, because if I keep looking at my needs as a child and none of you guys are meeting that, I'm gonna be severely depressed. I'm gonna be fucking cutting myself in school or something. No, it's gonna be incredibly difficult. So I don't want to do that to my child. Why would you want to do that to another person. If you see it and you recognize it, then you can change it for your own person. And I think that's about it. They had their opportunity to learn the whole time you were growing up. Now you have an opportunity to learn the whole time your child is growing up. And hopefully, if you are able to resist those things, if you're able to ignore them, which nobody wants to be around somebody that they have to ignore all the time. If I have to be around you and I have to completely close myself off in order to feel safe, I don't want to be around you. No, that's stupid. Shut it down. Throw it away. Throw it away. It's not necessary. You don't need it. It's not going to help you. But what they'll want to do is, because your whole childhood, they've controlled you, really, with jokes or mocking or snide comments or gossip or behind the back stuff or whatever. It's a whole piece of dust or something. Lord. But they've been doing that your whole life. So now as a child, as an adult child, they're going to try to continue that because that's what they know. That's what they've done for so long. They're going to try to kind of continue that. And if you are resistant to that, if you are so solid and firm in your resistance to that, that you can stand in their damn face and completely shut that down, completely refuse that, kudos to you. You might be able to stay in that situation. But if the people in your family are dangerous in any way or extremely hurtful in any way, you will not be better off staying there. You won't. You will feel like you're trying to crawl out of a bucket full of pain, and your stupid family members keep climbing at you, clawing at you, trying to pull you back down into the pit that you already know is painful. If you already know it's painful, no good parent is going to want to put their child through that. And we, in this beautiful age, again, no shade to the parents. No shade to the parents who have done their best. We all have different scenarios. We all have different societal and media and relationship-wise, different influences. We are different time periods, different influences, different states of being, different things are allowed in different time periods. Now, as this generation, we get, and the ones after, we get an access to a plethora of knowledge. We get to connect with people like us that are nowhere near us. We get to see examples of things, because people change when they have enough that they're able to. They are miserable enough that they have to. They've seen enough that they're inspired to. Or what's the other one? Or if they are, I don't know, there's another one. But people change in certain scenarios. And if somebody that if you are now able to be inspired by these other people all the way across the world, that is not something that a lot of our parents were able to do. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. We're not doing this. We're not separating from family members out of anger or hatred or trying to punish them. What we're doing is trying to survive. We are trying to grow. We are trying to shift. We are trying to fix what has been broken. And we don't want to just assume that the parents are what is broken. We're not doing this to punish them. We're doing this because it is necessary. Because the ending of doing this might actually turn out to be 10 times better than you could have imagined. You don't know. We don't know. You know better than anybody else knows your situation. But in a lot of situations, when you finally are strong enough to make that change, to separate yourself from those people and do the work and come out in a way that because it will be seen in everything that you do. It'll be seen in your personality, your work ethic, your personal life, your financial situation, your relationship with your kids and your other loved ones. It'll show in your love life. It'll show in everything that you do from that point on. When you start to grow yourself and become different, become who you really are, it will be shown in everything that you do. So they will see it. And a lot of times, leading by example can be 10 times more powerful than trying to lead with words or trying to explain something to someone. So really, don't feel guilty at all about separating yourself from your family. We're not, like I said, we're not trying to punish family members by, oh, you can't do this because you don't do this how I like it. That's not exactly right. Usually it's I've let you know that this is very hurtful to me and to my child, and I don't want my child around that. So if you are not willing to work on removing that bad behavior from your arsenal, then throw it away. Throw it away. There's no need to stay in a relationship that's toxic with somebody you just met. You don't stay in a toxic relationship where somebody is hurting you unless you've already been programmed to deal with being hurt. So that opens up a whole nother can of worms. If you don't do this healing and you do shapeshift into what they've told you to be, and you already see that it's toxic, then baby, when you conform to that, you're also going to be toxic. Don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, because you can guarantee if you parent the same way your parents did, your kids and your relationship with your kids are going to turn out the same way. If you don't really freaking like your parents that much and you parent the same way they did, your kids are not going to like you very much. Don't bring it on. This is the whole point of changing who you are. It is important. It is imperative that you heal yourself and you become the best version of you, the most healed version of you, so that your kids can be blessed in ways that you can't even fathom right now. Ways that you would never be able to predict. It is so imperative that you heal yourself so you can be the best version of you for your kids. Imagine what a lovely childhood you would have had if your parents had done the emotional work to learn to be better emotional support systems for you. Imagine. Try not to cry. Imagine. Actually, no, cry if you need to. But just imagine for a minute and sob for a while about how wonderful your parents would have been if they would have done that hard work that you're trying so hard to do now. Be appreciative of yourself, and don't allow anyone to guilt trip you. It is important that you heal. It is important that you make those changes for your children. It is important that a family respects each member of the family. It is important that all the members of the family are protected. And it is important that a parent chooses to protect their child over the feelings of big adults. You know what I mean? It is important that you protect your child over protecting the feelings of adults that didn't protect your feelings. Isn't that crazy? That's what they want. They want you to protect their fragile feelings some more, like you did when you were a kid. No. Okie dokie. So don't feel guilty about separating. And like I said, once you have done that bare minimum explaining, once you have done that, okay, this is toxic, this is hurtful, this is what I'm not going to allow. Are you willing to look at those? Are you willing to heal those? And they blow up in your face? Throw it away. Bye. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Leave them. You can't be here anymore. You can't, because we're not going to do that here. We're not going to invite the weird, touchy, too friendly with the kids uncle and have everybody who has been offended by this uncle stay quiet. Also, I'm not going to feel guilty about not explaining and really trying my hardest what you think would be my hardest to mend a relationship with someone who is abusive. Like I said, they've known me up until this point. They've known you up until this point. They know. They know what they're doing is toxic. That's why they're doing it. So you don't have to sit and explain and explain and explain, especially if that person doesn't want to understand it. When you have a conversation with somebody who wants to understand what you're talking about, they will listen to understand, and you will know the difference. When you're talking to somebody who doesn't want to understand you, they'll interrupt you. They will talk about something that doesn't actually tie into what you're talking about. They will change the subject, they'll blame, they'll do anything they can to not actually look at the problem. If somebody is doing that, they are a crab in a bucket, and you're about to get to the rim. Don't let that fucker grab you. Okay, I love you so much. Lead by example. I think that's it. I'm gonna work on the video quality, but right now this is what we're working with. Love you guys. Bye.